Ms. Stowe, can I just come back to you and ask just a bit more about your story? When investigators first showed you the pictures of your daughter and the abuse that your ex-husband had perpetrated on your daughter, did you understand then that those pictures had been shared and were circulating wildly, wildly and widely out in the world? I mean, what was that like?
Well, the whole thing, I was taken by surprise when they first came to us and told me what was happening. I was confused. I didn't understand when, where, how. But in the end, after they explained to me, yes, sadly, I understood that they were circulated and her abuse is worldwide.
Let me ask you this. Are images, that was 20 years ago, approximately?
25 years ago.
25 years ago. Are images of your daughter still online?
They're still online. They've made movies from her images. They've taken a culmination of the abusive images and created a montage, like you go to a wedding or another affair, and that's how they're played now. They change hashtags. They'll change something in the color of the shirt. They'll add a flower. They'll add a bunny to the picture, so it makes it harder to identify the picture because you're changing the hashtag of the picture. So it's a different format that they have to look for. So.
Have you had any experience with the social media platforms where this material often circulates? And this is child sex abuse material. Have you worked with them? Have you asked them to take down your daughter's pictures? What's your experience with them been like?
I've been fighting since day one. That's all I do. I contact people. I hound people down. I said, if we were famous, if she was a celebrity, those pictures would be down. I said, she's not famous. She's famous to me, but evidently not famous enough to the world unless people here do something about it. I've asked, I've repeatedly, I've hired lawyers. I've done it personally, asking, I have had a fight with Google about it, saying for the safety of my child, you have to get these images off. I said, her pictures of her abuse are out there. People know. We have a neighbor at one point who was found with her, who was caught with her images online. We were notified by the Department of Justice. This pervert lived blocks away from us. We didn't know him until I got the notification that he had her abusive images. I said, it's imperative that you get these things off the computer. And what did they tell me? I have to contact the webmaster and speak to the webmaster and have them take it down. But in order for me to contact the webmaster, I have to give him my name, my phone number, my address. So why don't I just give him my child?
Why do you think these social media companies aren't more proactive in taking down this material?
Oh, because they're making money off of it. They're profiting. Right. That's what the bottom line is with everything, profit.
Yeah, profit. Here, 26 years later, 5-6 years later, your daughter's material's still online, and they're making money on it, the social media companies, and that's the bottom line. Absolutely. And we all know what it really is. You know, this is why I think it is so imperative that the full Senate take up and pass the legislation that this committee passed unanimously, which would allow you and your daughter to get into court and to sue any company that knows or should know that your daughter's images are on their platform and they won't take it down. As you said, why should you have to chase anybody? Why should you be the one who has to police it? You shouldn't have to. They know they should do it. They're evading accountability because they make money on it. And I just want to say again to the big tech companies, no amount of profit justifies destroying people's lives. And that's what they're doing, destroying your daughter's life, destroying other people's lives because it makes them money. And it's time that the United States Senate showed a little independence from these tech companies and actually did something about it. So I just renew again my call to the Senate, to my colleagues, for heaven's sake, stop taking big tech's money, number one, and number two, pass this bill and give victims rights to get into court and to protect themselves. Mr. Tebow, I just want to put a bow on what we were talking about so that people understand clearly 100% what needs to happen here, thinking about the tens of, probably hundreds of thousands of kids whose images are online but who are unidentified. What Congress could do right now is we could pass legislation that would fully fund new victim identification specialists, analysts on a permanent basis into the Department of Homeland Security and wherever else they might be helpful. We could do that on a permanent basis, and that would have a tremendous effect in identifying these kids, rescuing these kids, and bringing their perpetrators, their abusers to justice. Have I got that right?
Absolutely.
What else do we need to understand about what we need to do right now in order to help these kids?
I think to add on to what Ms. Jane was saying, one of the things that we would love is for the Supreme Court to hear the Doe versus Twitter case. And we are submitting an amicus brief on behalf of the 2 boys who were sextorted on Snapchat and then distributed on Twitter. That would be pretty helpful as well.
Well, that'd be fantastic. That would be fantastic. And since you opened that door, I'll just say that it's time for Congress to pass legislation that removes the Section 230 shield that prevents these companies from ever being held accountable. These companies are so outrageous. You know, they're just outrageous. On the one hand, they claim, well, we're not publishers, therefore we can't be held accountable. And then they turn around and say, well, we're publishers, and therefore we have First Amendment immunity. That's just absurd. There's no company or corporation in America other than the social media companies who are completely and totally shielded from any kind of liability no matter what they do. You know, if your car blows up, you can sue the car maker. And guess what? When you do, the cars work a whole lot better. These social media companies, Ms. Doe, no victim in here today, not a one of you, can get into court against these social media companies. That is just wrong. And I'll tell you why it is. It's because the amount of money that flows to this body from those companies keeps the courtroom door shut for you. We need to open it up, and we need to say that you're more important than any amount of money.